So today we're going to be doing a vertical tasting of Piccione's Nero. We're going to be doing a 13, 14, 15, and we actually have a couple more to try today, right?
Correct. Barrel samples.
Barrel samples of what years? 15, 16, 17?
16, 17.
All right, but first we're going to start off with the 13. Can you guys tell us a little bit about this? Do you want to try it first?
Well, let me just give you the background. So these vines were planted in 2010. So 13 was our first vintage. So they were very young vines, and but we were excited because again, this was a total experiment. So we're like, what's there? What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? And it was like, wow, you know, there's some hope here. So this is in fact the first vintage of the Nero, was the 13.
First Nero in the state.
As far as I know, yeah, certainly here.
All right.
Even the fruit flies like it. It's great. Spice.
Yep. And Nero consistently has that nose to it too. So we always get like some black pepper and spicy notes out of it, less in the body. It just depends on the vintage. So we may taste that as we go through the different years.
What's the acidity on the Nero? Is it a high acidity, medium? Or?
Well, with the climate that we have here, they all have a moderate to low acidity, and I'm speaking generally in varieties across the board, and there are exceptions to that. From what I'm seeing, and I was looking at the numbers a little bit in retrospect of these vintages before coming out today, and it seems that the acidities for this grape do hold pretty well for reds and to get the ripeness levels that we're trying to get. And another thing that's affected by, of course, is the vintage, and we do find, certainly in this part of the world, that vintages vary tremendously. Now that's one of the things that I think is exciting about the wines in the first place. But depending on hot years, cool years, rainy years, dry years, that acidity, just like everything else, is going to adjust somewhat. But this grape does seem to hold it pretty well, which makes it pretty nicely balanced wine, I think. And with tasting the 13, which is going on 6 years now, I think it's holding up pretty well, which is a really encouraging thing to see for this grape. And speaking specifically of acidity, that has a lot to do with why that happens. So.
And what about the tannins in this wine? Is that, again, is it high in tannin, would you consider, or is it a low tannin?
No, I from what I've seen so far in the few years that I've worked with it, I guess I'd say kind of a moderately tannin grape, not really high like a Petit Verdot or a Tannat or something like that. But the tannins that we do, and again, to refer to what I kind of compare with the Pinot Noir, which has a lot more history in its known vinification and such. We kind of go to that as an example a little bit. So the tannins that we do here, they can be very astringent. So we work with them in the cellar to start with. It's, partly it starts out here where you guys are trying to pick it on ripeness, which means those tannins are softening a bit, that they're mature. Then when we get them into the cellar, we try to protect those because we know that they're in limited supply compared to some varieties. So we try to treat this fruit very gently. Between the tannin and color development, these two components work tremendously together to stabilize each other. Tannins help stabilize color. Color helps to soften and make more palatable the tannins. So we work very hard to protect that. I don't mean to get too geeky about this, but yeah, it's kind of moderate. But I think that what we're seeing is certainly with the wine that's getting the age on it, like the 13, that it still has that nice grip to it, soft and softening, and but very evident at the same time, the way it is helpful to give a wine longevity like this.
Yeah, well, it's great hearing all of this. You know, you say nerdy, nerdy now, but again, this is a relatively new grape here to the state. With you guys doing it, it might be a couple others doing it, but it's still relatively new here. So it's good for the people to know a little bit about, if they haven't tried this wine before, to come over here and know a little bit about it before they try it.
It's interesting. It's different.
It's different.
It is different.
Some spice. There's notes of leather on there. I really do like this wine.